What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are going to continue our coverage over Spawn for Spawn Sundays. Now, with that being said, we actually do pick up with Spawn number 29 and Spawn number 30. Now, when it comes to these two books right here, they are technically one-shot books, meaning that they tell two different kinds of stories. But here's the thing, though. I want to begin to cover more books in each video so that we are actually able to move along with our coverage over Spawn and get back into some more bigger storylines down the road, but of course at a faster rate. Now, with that being said, when it comes to Spawn number 29 and Spawn number 30, it's really more Spawn dealing with the worst kinds of people on the earth. Of course, the ones that abuse their children and the other ones who are racist towards a certain kind of race. And so that is where Spawn number 29 and Spawn number 30 come in. And so I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And so to get into Spawn number 29, we actually do pick up right now with Spawn in Alabama. Now, the reason why Spawn is in Alabama right now, because there was a 3-part storyline, technically a 3-part miniseries for Angela, where Spawn, of course, had to deal with some things with her and other angels in heaven. Now, here's the thing, though, because at the end of that storyline, he wasn't dropped back off in New York. Matter of fact, he was dropped off in the middle of Alabama. Now, he's still trying to recover from that storyline, and so he does look a tad bit beat up. Now, of course, that is the moment he was confronted by a young boy known as Andy. Now, when it comes to Andy, Andy is actually a young boy who's right now being abused by his father. And the way Spawn finds this out, because when he looks at Andy, he does see some marks on his back, which of course says, "My father is abusing me," or "someone is actually abusing me." Now, with that being said, you do have Andy try to take Spawn back to his house so that Spawn has somewhere to actually rest and heal up and get back to perfect health. But then we jump over to Wanda and Terry. Now remember, Wanda is the ex-wife of Al Simmons, aka Spawn. After he had died, but right before he was reborn as Spawn, she got remarried to his best friend Terry. Now right now you have Terry very upset with Wanda. And the reason why, because in our last video, Wanda lied to Terry about the idea of where she was going, because she told him that she was going to see a friend. But in reality, she went out in town to go find Spawn to see why Spawn cares for Terry so much, but also learn more about Spawn. Now, the problem was she almost got killed off by a bunch of thugs. Now, luckily for her, she was saved by Spawn, but that's the problem right there. If Spawn was not there, she could have died. And so right now it's Terry saying, listen, you have to be careful, but you have to work with me. You just can't go on your own like that because you almost got killed off. Now, of course, she does tell Terry that most likely she will not do that again, because when she saw Spawn protect her, he brutally beat those thugs down that were trying to kill her. And so, of course, right now, she is very scared of Spawn, but at the same time, though, she's still wondering who is Spawn actually. But then we jump over to Andy. Now, when we do jump over to Andy, this is where we kind of learn more about his life. And what I mean by that is we kind of find out that yes, he is being abused by his father. Now, he does have a brother, and that brother is actually Eddie. Now, here's the thing though. Eddie does try to protect his younger brother Andy. The problem is though, father is still too strong, and so he is actually able to abuse both boys. Now here's the thing though, because even though the father is so abusive, Andy is still a very happy boy. It's him right now kind of saying, you know what, it happened, but let's move on and let's look on the brighter side of things. Now here's the thing though, if you're wondering right now where is the mother, we were technically told that she died. Now, we're not told how she died. Of course, we're left to wonder if the father had killed her off or she died by some kind of disease or something. Either way right now, technically the boys are on their own when it comes to their father. Now, after getting beaten down by their father, you have Andy wanting to show Eddie something very cool in the shed in the backyard. And so that is the moment where we kind of find out that after Andy had found Spawn, he brought Spawn back home to his house, but of course put him in the shed as a way to hide Spawn, but to also give Spawn somewhere to hide and to actually heal up. Now here's the thing. This is Andy right now showing Eddie Spawn, and Eddie's kind of like, okay, this guy looks cool, but if Dad finds him, Dad is going to kill him, but also kill us as well. Now, this is the moment where you have Spawn ask the boys, are you being abused? Now, this is actually very important. And the reason why, because people who are abused will most time protect their abusers. Unfortunately, it happens. Now, here's the thing. Right now, you have the boys lie about their father, saying, no, our dad is not abusive at all. Matter of fact, we play football and sometimes we get a tad bit too rough. Now, in reality, that's a fat lie. And matter of fact, when it comes to Spawn, he's kind of like, yep, that's a lie. You're right now protecting your father. Now, he does not say that, but he does think that. But right before he's able to offer them any kind of help, well, that is the moment you have the father get very angry about the idea of the two boys right now being outside in the backyard this late on a Saturday. And the reason why, because they have church in the morning. But then we jump over to New York. Now, when we do jump over to New York, we actually pick up with Sam and Twitch. Now, Sam and Twitch are actually two cops in Spawn comics, but most recently they were given a folder by Spawn. Now, when it comes to this folder, it's right now holding a lot of information about one particular person, their boss, Chief Banks. And that right there is actually very important. And the reason why, because when it comes to Chief Banks, apparently he did a lot of bad things. And we kind of find out one bad thing he actually did. And this ties back into Billy Kincaid. Now remember, Billy Kincaid was this serial killer we met all the way back in Spawn number 5. But when it came to Billy Kincaid was this serial killer that went around killing off children. Now that right there is actually very important, because in this folder, Sam and Twitch were able to find out that apparently their boss, Chief Banks, had actually hired Billy Kincaid to kill off a child that belonged to some random politician as a way to control politics in the city. And that right there is very huge, because if that info gets out, Chief Banks is done. And on top of that, he'll get locked up as well. And so even though you have Chief Banks appear and yell at Sam and Twitch, honestly, Sam does not care at all. He's kind of like, listen, yell all you want. I got something on you, my dude. But then we jump back over to Andy and also Eddie. Now, when we do, you do have the two young boys right now with their father. And matter of fact, they go to church. And this is the wild part, because like most abusive situation, when you're around other people, the abuser pretends that he's actually a good person, a good guy, or a good woman. Either way though, right now, you have the dad pretending that he's a great father, and the boys are loved so much and taken care of like no other. But here's the thing though, because as soon as they get home, Andy gets in trouble once again, because apparently he dropped the last beer that was in the fridge. And of course the dad gets mad and begins the process of beating his child once again, except this time he goes a tad bit too far, where he actually pulls out a gun. And this is the wild part, because it's right now him saying, let's play Russian roulette and let's see if I pull the trigger, will you actually die or live? Now, luckily for Andy and also Eddie, the gun did not go off, and you have the dad walk away because the boys are so scared he finds it amusing. Now, after the boys did get abused by their father, you then have them be confronted by Spawn. And Spawn knows they were once again abused by their father, except this time Spawn is right now back to full health, or to the point where he should be able to handle Andy and Eddie's father like it's no big deal. Either way right now, he does promise the boys that things will get better, that he will go after their father and make sure that he'll never ever again put his hands on his children like he is right now. Now, of course, you do have the boys still want to somewhat protect their father. At the same time, they're kind of like, no, we're done protecting him. We just wish he'll just leave us alone and go away forever. We do not love him at all. Either way, you have Spawn hug the boys, and he begins the process for looking for the father and to hopefully stop him. Now, this is actually very important. And the reason why, because you actually do have Spawn right now find the father to the boys. Now, when he does, this is Spawn right now expressing the idea that basically he hates the idea of a man hitting a child like this guy does. But as you have Spawn right now technically beating down on the father of the boys, you do have this random one panel flashback where it looks like Wanda was actually abused by Spawn. Now, of course, we don't know it was Spawn when he was alive, but we do see a hand right now hitting a woman. And of course, it seems like it could be Wanda being hit by Al before he had died, which means that Spawn could have been an abuser before he had died. Either way right now, you have Spawn right now telling the father, if I find out that you touch the boys again, I'm going to kill you myself. And you would think the book would actually end on a good note, right? Because now you have Spawn saying, hey man, listen, if you touch your kids again, I'm going to kill you. And you would think the dad would go home and try to be a better man. Unfortunately, he does not, because as soon as the boys get home, they see their dad. And right now their dad is covered in writing. And of course it says, I beat my children. Now, here's the thing. The dad knows no one else knows what he does to his kids except him and his kids. And so right now he's saying, you told someone what I do to you. And now I'm even more angrier. And so this is the point where you actually have the father wanting to kill off his boys, particularly Andy, the youngest one. And of course, he begins the process of trying to kill off Andy. Now, Eddie does run away, but didn't he realize what he could do to save his brother? And so he finds his dad's gun. And of course, right when the dad tried to stop Eddie from using the gun goes off. And we're left to wonder who got shot and killed, the dad, Eddie, or possibly Andy. Either way, Spawn number 29 ends on that note right there. And so when we jump into Spawn number 30, we actually do pick up right now with Spawn walking home from Alabama to New York. Now, the reason why he's not trying to just teleport back home to New York, because he knows he will use up a lot of necroplasm. And when he does run out of necroplasm, he would have to go back to hell and of course join the army of course, Malbolgia. And so right now it's him saying, let me just walk home and try not to use any of my necroplasm to hopefully get home and stay on Earth. Now the thing is though, as he's walking home right now, that is the moment where he's almost hit by a truck. And of course in that truck you have a bunch of guys who are technically right now dressed as the KKK. And of course for Spawn, he's wondering there's no way that people in today's time is still out there right now belonging to that group in this world. And so of course it's Spawn saying, I better follow and see they're not trying to kill innocent people because they're racist. And so that leads in the storyline, jumping over to a random family where right now they're trying to put out a fire. Now, the reason why they're trying to put out a fire, because this fire could have the potential to actually reach the house of this family. But the fire was actually started by the KKK. And of course, the reason why, because they want all black families out of their town. And apparently this family right here are the last ones in the town to be black. And of course, they're not leaving. Now, when it comes to the wife, she does want to leave. But when it comes to the father, he's kind of like, no, I want to stay here because This is our home. This is our land. We fought for this land. We bought this land. It's not fair. We had to give up our land because people out there hate us because of our skin color. Now, you do have Spawn arrive. When Spawn does arrive, you do have the father of this family kind of freak out because he believes that Spawn could also be part of the KKK. But here's the thing though, this guy has no idea that Spawn is actually black. Well, I guess you say was black because he did die and he was reborn as a Hellspawn, but at the same time, he's still black. Either way, when it comes to this father, he has no idea that Spawn is actually black. That Spawn actually does understand what this guy is going through when it comes to the KKK. And so you do have Spawn be able to actually find the KKK who has set fire to the crops that was near the family's house. Now here's the thing though, because when it comes to this book, for the sake of the book, they knew that if Spawn found these guys, the story could technically be wrapped up just like that. But of course, we have to sell you guys, or back then, sell us an entire book. And so when it comes to Spawn right now confronting the members of the KKK, right when he does confront him, he's actually shot right in the head. And of course, he's dead. Now, we already know, when it comes to Spawn, he can't die so easily. It's going to take more harder methods as a way to make sure that he is actually dead, which means that sooner or later Spawn is going to get right back up again and come back for revenge against the members of the KKK. Either way, when they do believe that they were able to actually kill him off, they do hang him in a tree and say, yeah, we did kill him off, and let this be a sign to other black people in the city. Get out now before we kill you as well and hang your body on a tree nearby. Now that is the moment where the next day you do have the father of the family being able to actually find Spawn being hung in the tree. And so you do have the guy begin the process of trying to cut Spawn down from the tree. Except that is the moment where he's actually confronted by two members of the KKK. And that is the moment where they tell him, put your gun down. And of course they are plotting to do something bad to him as well. Except that is the moment where you actually do have Spawn wake back up, because again, he can't die so easily, and he does take out both members of the KKK. Now, he doesn't kill them, but he does beat them down very badly, to the point where you have the two members technically take the father of the family to court. Now, when it comes to the actual court session, this is where technically you see how corrupted this city actually is, because when it comes to the father, yes, they do go to court, but you also have the father trying to sue the KKK for basically damages to his property, his crops. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to the judge of this case, he says, listen, this case is dismissed because there is not enough evidence to prove that these guys who you claim to be part of the KKK actually did damage to your crops. Even though it's really obvious, right now you come to find out the judge is also corrupted, that the judge is also another member of the KKK. But then we actually pick up with a meeting going on with the actual group of the KKK. Now, when we do, we actually see them right now plotting with the judge to say, we are going to go after the father of that family. Now, Spawn overhears this, but this is actually very important. And the reason why, because when it comes to this meeting, is Spawn saying that when it comes to this group in the city, it seems like the judge is the one actually in charge of this group. Meaning that if you're able to kind of get rid of the judge, you might be able to do other things to the rest of the group in the city. And so right now you have the judge on the rest of the group. They're going to go after the family one more time, but especially the father, to go ahead and kill him off because, again, they are the last black family in this city. And so you have Spawn say, you know what? Let me go ahead and actually deal with this judge here and now. And to really wrap up today's video, but also Spawn number 30, we kind of find out what Spawn actually did to the judge. And what he did to the judge was he turned the judge black. By using his necroplasm, he was actually able to turn the judge black. And that right there is actually very important, because When the rest of the members of the KKK come back to their boss, the judge, they find him being black now, and they believe that he was actually the ones tricking them, that in reality he was never white, he was black. Now of course we know he was white, but right now they believe that he was some black guy pretending to be a white guy. Either way, you do have the members of the KKK kill off the judge just like that, because again, he is a black guy now, and so he died. And so you have Spawn tell the family, listen, I believe when it comes to the judge, you have nothing else to worry about. But unfortunately, you still have to worry about the other members of the group here in the city. So please protect yourselves the best you can. And you have Spawn leave and begin to go back to New York once again.